This is Talking My Walking. I am Rodrigo Ribeiro, and today I'm going to talk about how culture has been used by plutocrats and oligarchs to justify social inequality, social and economic inequality. For those who understand how modern societies work, and by modern I mean societies that have been shaped by the imperialist civilizational paradigm. They understand that culture has always been used, and I'm talking in a broad sense. Culture in a broad sense, which means that as everything that can be considered part of culture, human culture, is used to protect the elites, to justify their existence, and to glorify them. Not there are popular culture. There is popular culture has always been a form of entertainment, of identity for the poor, for the working classes, for the peasants, for their own entertainment, for their own the culture that produces tradition, that produces dishes, food, that's involved in many things that are part of the popular culture, that are very, very important, and they are part of the identity of a people or a nation. But the dominant narratives, the narratives that define and give the meaning and the justification for the existence of an economic system, are ideological and are political. There is no such thing as an economy, as an economic system that is not ideological and political. Not only ideological, not only political, but also ideological. Now it depends. So when people tell you or tell us that you are being ideological, I mean, of course, there is no other way. We all are ideological. It just means what the idea, ideas matter, and ideas have consequences. So ideas is not all ideas are the same. Not all ideas produce the same results. And all ideological systems should be open to need to be open to be changed or to be or considered not. I mean, there is no such. There is no. It should be not. One thing is an ideological system. Another thing is a dogmatic ideological system that pretends to be the truth, and to be, or even goes further than that. That pretends to be the absolute truth, which the people on the right pretend that the left, the socialists and the communists, are the ones that are dogmatic, and the capitalist seems to be the kings, the gods of freedom. The ones that there are no dogmatic at all, because there is no dogma in capitalism. There is no ideology in capitalism. Capitalism is a practical ideology, let's put it this way. It's a practical system. It's a pragmatic system. It's not ideological. But that is BS, because of course that has been since the invention or the development of the paradigm, the civilization, the imperialist civilizational paradigm, that of course the class war, the creation of castes and classes and hierarchies have required an ideological frame to justify it and even to glorify it, or at least to glorify the ones on the top, in order to give them the authority required that they can use and abuse the rest of the community, the rest of the nation, the rest of the country, at their will, to use them, to have them at their disposal. The main culture that still exists, the predominant culture that colonizes, that's still colonizing our minds, is the culture of domination, of the domination of exploitation, of plundering, of do not consider everything can be used and abused because there is no connection. Is a culture that disconnects us from the web of life, and the problem of this disconnection is because it involves that most of us see the problems as we see in separated from each other, and because we don't see. We see economic problems, but we don't understand economic problems as cultural and ideological problems. Okay? The same with politics, that we don't understand, that we kind of tend to understand these realities as separated from the reality of the web of life, as of the ecosystem that is society, and the web of life that is the larger, the broader environment, which is the planet, the system, the Earth systems. And this is not because it has nothing to do of a problem with the human nature or condition. This has to do with a specific range, a specific how can I say it, type of culture that is connected, that is produced by a specific system, by a civilizational paradigm that was developed by people that obviously, it's very easy to understand, they were opportunists. There is no other way to explain why we need oligarchs and plutocrats if we don't understand them as opportunists and sociopaths, that the only reason what they really want is to accumulate wealth, private property, and control. Their goal is not to solve the problems, it's only to and they are very delusional. The problem is these people the problem is not because these people are usually they should never be the ones that control society. And they've been the ones shaping the culture we have. The culture that has been transformed into the dominant culture that we have in the world. And we need to understand these links, these interconnections. And of course, this could be studied in the universities. This could be part of the academic studies, and but academics is really also a problem, because there is no in academy there is nothing like holistic research, holistic understand of the problems. Is exactly divided in so many shelves and so many little fields, you know, that it is. That's not because there is of course lots of important studies and research and knowledge that is produced in the universities that is important for our understanding of many things. But at the same time, it doesn't help to. It doesn't really give us the full picture of sometimes of what it's at stake. We need by ourselves to create grassroots organizations where we can discuss these things and be open to understand to understand not only the multiplicity of contexts, but the interconnections, everything that is that. Otherwise, we cannot solve the problems. We cannot move away from this existing system, which is a parasitic system, very destructive, and causes a lot of unnecessary suffering. And militarization, what we are witnessing right now in the world, is exactly the example, the living example, the awful example of how this system operates, and at the global level. I don't want to say, and that's a point that I want to emphasize, that I don't want to say that every country, even among the big countries, the more powerful countries, they are all the same. They are not all the same. If there are countries that have in an historical analysis, they have been much more pernicious to the world community and the Earth community than the world community. I mean, by the world community, the world human community and the nature community as a whole. So I don't put all of them in the same basket, but it doesn't mean that not everybody on this planet, not every single country in this country, as that pathology, as this imperialistic civilizational paradigm, as the foundation as a cultural foundation. Not because they are imperialists in the sense they do not. That doesn't mean they have an empire, but the roots of their cultural identity is still of the cultural identity, and the economy and the society as are organized. It has the elements of the imperialist paradigm, and we seem oblivious to it, and we cannot create a civilization, an ecological civilization, that has not the characteristics that the economy and the society and the culture doesn't get rid of the characteristics of the imperialistic paradigm. We cannot just call a civilization ecological civilization and think that we get rid, that's the problem, and we get rid of the old habits. If we just do not change the values, the cultural values and principles, the narratives that have been giving support, theological support, intellectual support, ideological support to structures of power, economic power, financial power, cultural power that have been subjugating peoples and nature for centuries, millennia, and in the name of civilization, which means that it was have been done everything in the name of a paradigm, a paradigm of a civilizational paradigm that, in my opinion, in spite of all the creative, all the advancements in science and arts and architecture, mathematics, and I mean everything, despite all of the technological developments and cultural developments, is a civilization, is a humanizing civilization, and it is a civilization that, in the end, does unite, doesn't respect the web of life. It is based on the exploitation, control, and I mean, it has nothing to do with the elevation of the spiritual awakening, the spiritual development of the human race, which is another aspect that so many people don't understand, the relevance of understanding that the economy, the culture, politics, economy, and everything else is interconnected. And if there is to be a spiritual, and we want to develop a spiritual economy, a spiritual culture, we need to have a spiritual economy, not an okay, a spiritual economy is not exactly that we have vendors in every corner selling religious items in the name of spiritual development. We are so brainwashed. Our identity is petrified, that we are not able even to understand that we could have a completely different system. I mean, we can have, it's not that competition is bad and cooperation is good. It has the system, is what exactly the system rewards. How do we organize a society? What does that our economy really rewards? How should we organize our economies and our societies in order to have well-being? I mean, there are people that are called the well-being economics. My favorite word, which it's not important but my favorite word is economics of sufficiency and reciprocity. Instead of steady state economy, which I understand the concept of steady state economy, or the concept of circular economy, or donut economy, or this or that, not all those concepts. There are concepts in every different approaches. They are important. They can all be discussed and be at the table for discussion. But in the end, what we need is an economy, a sufficiency economy, that we need to define how it should be and how it should work. But if we cannot understand that, if in the principles that we believe they are spiritual principles, principles that people associate with human development. I'm not talking about ego development, about the self, the idea that we have a self that is that's not exactly us, is something else. And this separation of materiality in one side and spirituality in another side, this division is part of the problem, because it doesn't allow, because it just makes us not understanding that the web of, we are part of the web of life, and we are not supposed to control anything. We are supposed to live and let live, and that can be, and that we can have a civilization, a civilizational paradigm, and societies and economies and cultures that are based in the values and principles and legal systems and moral codes that do reinforce it, that do transform our behavior and our understanding of ourselves and our relation with nature and our relation with each other, which means that we will create out of it a culture is the result, it becomes the result of a beautiful, a balanced, and I mean the balance between truth, justice and trust. Truth, justice and trust. Not just competition for focused in our own interest for the collective well-being. It doesn't mean that if we can compete in an open market for our well-being, but it only would work if there was not the possibility of a few among us to rig the system and then make it create the conditions to accumulate more wealth while impoverishing others and exploiting them, and even blaming them for the problems created by the elite because of their sociopathic and psychopathic tendencies to do not care about the well-being of others or the well-being of the web of life and all the rest that should count. But of course, if we do not understand the interconnection between all the systems that that make up the society and civilization, we cannot understand the roots of the problems, and we live our lives always in cognitive dissonance, because we try to dissociate what should be understood as interconnected, and we live dissociative lives. We live in dissociation. We don't live in interconnection, not even with each other. It's always a competition for some sort of some stupid. People most of the time compete for stupid prizes, and just waste their time, and which time, as I like to emphasize, is life. That's what time is. Time is the tick-tack of our biological existence. How we, and that's important how we use it. At least I think it's important. It should be important to all of us. The study of anything, in my opinion, has only one purpose: is to understand, to have, to help us have a comprehensive understanding of the reality. For professional purposes, I understand that we can become specialists, okay, experts in something. That's okay, but as citizens of a society, and as that should have political agency, which means that we should be also part of the process of shaping society, the societal system, the cultural system, and the economic system. We need to have a comprehensive understanding of the reality of where we live, and how these different systems interact with each other to produce a culture that is responsible, to produce the narratives, to produce the cultural environment that exactly is responsible for our understanding, for how we perceive ourselves, how we perceive other people, how we perceive nature, how we perceive the relations between us and the environment. And this is essential to any to the possibility to a true understanding. Otherwise, how can we believe that we can understand anything at all? And it is really it's not how most of the time we see a reality being approached. Maybe some people on the fringes of the academic fringes, or cultural, or artistic, or political, or people that, or whatever. But this understanding, this holistic understanding, is not. I don't see it, at least, and I see the need of it. I really see that it is an absolute necessity in order to make us to allow us to move on, in order to allow, because because we are not able. Again, the same mindset, the same level of thoughts that created the problems is the same mindset. This culture of separation, this bipolar culture, this culture that is expressed in bipolarity most of the time, in opposition, kind of opposition, doesn't allow us to understand the problems. So we need a different perspective, and that perspective needs to be cultivated consciously But in order to cultivate those values and principles and intellectual tools, we need to understand them. We need to talk about them. Because we cannot, that's really bad that we do not even come to understand that for us to have a totally different societal system and civilization, we need grassroots participation. We need really political agency at the grassroots level. And when I mean political, cultural, ideological. I mean in every sense of the agency, conscious agency. That's what I mean. Because we need a culture, not only for the purpose of understanding, but it's a culture also of transformation. It's a transformative culture. A culture for the transformation of a society and economic system into an economy of sufficiency economy and a reciprocity economy, social and ecological political economy. We have a culture that most of us spend our days receiving marching orders. Okay, we go from, that's, we have influencers, celebrities, we have our bosses, and we have instructions and ads everywhere. Everywhere we have signals, signs telling us orders, giving us orders, signs for obedience. So we have this idea of freedom, that we choose this and that and so forth and so on, and of course to a certain extent we do, but we are all day actively looking for people to tell us what to believe, what to do, what to be, what to buy, where to go. And we don't even, most of the time we don't even understand that we are receiving commands from everywhere, literally, because we do not understand that we are being manipulated. And that's an important part of a system that is a system that is basically, we know all of us are consumers, but many of us don't have the privilege or the opportunity to be the producers, not the producers as part of the real economy as workers, but as the producers of culture, of the main culture, which is produced, which is tailored, crafted by people with power, by the professional managerial class, and by industries, by the PR industrial complex, public relations industrial complex, and the media, and all others, like infotainment industries, like cinema and many other culture industries. They have the monopoly of producing the reality, the cultural reality that tell us what to be, what to do, how to behave, and all the rest. And just because we think we can pick from a variety of different products, okay, cultural products, that everything is a product. We believe that we are exercising our free will. What we do not understand, that of course we can like certain movies and like all that has to do with our idiosyncrasies, our life experience, our personality, the traits, our personality traits, and all the rest that goes with it. But it has nothing to do of the real choice, because we do not participate. We most of our lives is in the condition of consumers and spectators. And by the way, that we all know that we consume. So many of us consume we consume, we buy what we don't need with the money we don't have, to impress even the people that even we don't like. So that's as absurd as this reality describes. That is described in this phrase. And nevertheless, we believe that everything that everything we believe, it has to be out of the freedom of choice and freedom of this and freedom of that. Of course not. Don't think that it's just because I'm conscious that this is the reality, that I've been many times deceived, that I talk like this, because I know it works, and you are being manipulated in 24/7. At least they try. That's the purpose of so many of the cultural environment where we swim, where we have to live and to survive, and unless we do study it and try to understand the mechanisms behind it, and to understand the connections, and of course we are the less we take care about it, the more we believe that we are not propagandized, the more propagandized we are, and that should be obvious. But of course, in reality, the ones that believe that they are immune to manipulation, they are the ones that are being manipulated, instrumentalized, weaponized. Parasite. They are like like in some insects, that they can go into lay the eggs. Some wasps and other insects, they can lay the eggs in another living being, and then just it grows inside that living being, or it is exactly what they do with culture. These are used just in ways that is like the eggs that are laid inside in our subconscious mind, and they just get they parasite, and then make us crazy. They transform us, and they can transform us into tools. When you see people, that the people we say they are fundamentalists, most of the fundamentalist people that are really fundamentalists, which seems they cannot see anything else, they cannot understand anything else but a very narrow ideological frame of the world, ideological and cultural frame of the world. They have been there. They are being they have being instrumentalized to the point of being used as a weapon. And nevertheless, they believe that's a choice. and they can do horrible things in the name of that choice. And we need to, we can never avoid we need to deal with this problem, but not by believing that our culture is superior, or it's because exactly we need to have a totally different understanding of the role of culture. Culture in the ideological frame cannot be used to dehumanize and demonize other peoples, and at the individual level or at the collective level. We need a culture of tolerance, culture of empathy, a culture of an economy of reciprocity and sufficiency and cooperation at the international level. And we can have it, but we cannot have it at the current level of understanding of our role as human beings, as economic agents, because we are being used as useful idiots, cannon fodder, and disposable peons, and we don't even are able to, most of us do not even admit it. That would be a starting point to admit that is exactly our condition. And why does it have to be like that? Why can't we enjoy political agency and economic agency and cultural agency? But we have to delegate everything into others to create this, to give us the commands, to tell us how reality should look like. This should be obvious, of course, but it doesn't work. The reality doesn't work like that, exactly because the system really works. It has been working for millennia. It will be working until we understand that we cannot allow the worst people among us, the opportunists without scruples, the sociopaths and megalomaniac psychopaths. They are the ones that they are the ones that control everything and control our lives, and they don't want us to understand that doesn't need to be like that. And not because we cannot understand it intellectually, but because we feel disempowered, we feel helpless, and we feel unable to do that. Anything we could do, we are not able to change the system. So therefore, we need to try to adapt to it and to do our best, even by destroying ourselves, by performing jobs and tasks and functions that are against our values, that are against anything we perceive as good for society. Because the reality is that we have so many things that are unnecessary and then they need resources and energy to be produced, and we don't need them at all. They just create dependencies and addictions and make us more addicted to convenience. This is nothing to do with denying the role of innovation and technological innovation and scientific research, but not based and subjected to the maximization of profit and accumulation of wealth as it is now, for control of people, territories, and the world. That was the purpose of the project for the 21st American century. So this imperialistic civilizational paradigm needs to end. So I'm going to end it today. I'm going to end it here. This is an afternoon recording, which is not my best time of the day. I rather do my recording in the morning. But that's today. I only had the opportunity to do it in the afternoon. So thanks for listening, and I will be back soon.